Hey people, welcome to the channel, and in this case we'll be talking about preparedness for earthquakes, some of the things you want to have in your kit. Now this is because of a video that I uploaded a few days ago where experts in Spain and Portugal were explaining that in certain parts of these countries they're expecting an imminent earthquake, a big one, because, well, of the information that they have, the pressure accumulated. And some people were saying that this is fear-mongering, they're just trying to scare people. No, not really. This is not fear-mongering. This is what preparedness is actually all about. You have information, you know that these plates are making contact and there's pressure accumulating and eventually that will release. It's simply a matter of time, and these people are explaining that it's expected to be quite imminent, and it simply will happen. At some point it will happen. Now, we also know that there's parts of the world where this is basically a way of life, where this happens all the time, and very frequently they have significant events, and other parts where, yes, it can happen, but maybe it's not usually as bad. It's simply a matter of analyzing these things, knowing where you are, and the kind of risk and threats you're facing. And that leads me right to the first thing that I recommend you get is Surviving the Economic Collapse and Street Survival Skills, my books about being better prepared in general. It's not just about this. It's about having a way of life in which you simply understand the potential risks and some of the factors that may make life a little bit more complicated for you, and just being ready for that, all right? That's gonna be helping you in ways that you probably just, maybe even not being in these places to begin with. Why do I recommend running away scared because of everything? No, simply make a rational risk assessment, and maybe when you decide where you go, if you're moving, if you're, maybe changing jobs or whatnot, well, this is something you throw into the equation. I don't want to have this kind of risk, so maybe I don't do that. Or I'm okay, this is not the worst place, but there's something that could happen, so maybe I do some of the things that I'm talking about here, right? So the first thing you want to have is of course, a bug-out bag, an emergency kit. This is something we have talked about many times, and the basics still apply. A spare clothes and some things. Now, one of the important things you want to have in your kit in case of an earthquake is a lot of water, right? Not even kidding. If you want to prepare for an earthquake, put that bottle right there. That's probably going to be one of the most important things. Why? Well, because when you have a big earthquake, there's a very good chance that there's going to be no water. The pipes get destroyed or blown, and the grid just goes down. You don't have electricity and you don't have water. You can be fine without electricity for a long time, much more than you would probably expect. Without water, you won't last, and most people simply do not have enough. This is not a personal opinion of mine. This is me being a professional about explaining these things based on actual events. In the case of Chile, people were literally, being quite horrible towards one another over a bottle of water, because we know that biology has no, it just does not care. You will have to drink water in a matter of hours, and if you don't have water, you will be feeling a little bit thirsty, and if more time goes by, you will literally become very violent, because you will need that water to survive yourself and your loved ones. So please, if you want to prepare for earthquakes, have water. Water, and of course food. Food is, certainly nice to have and definitely important, but not nearly as urgent as water. I was reading a lot about what happened in Chile many years ago in that big earthquake that they had. It was insane what was happening. People fighting among themselves over bottles of water. It's not just for drinking. If you want to wash your face, your hands, because of the debris and the dust. And that leads me right next to the other thing. In terms of water and food, you want to have food that is easy to prepare or requires no preparation whatsoever. That's emergency rations, Energy 5. These last for 20 years. It's basically like a dry cookie, and you can eat it right away. Right, has in individual packs. You can eat it as it is, or you can mix it with a little bit of water, so as to have like a little baby food, or for someone that is not able to chew much. Well, that's what preparedness food like that, emergency food rations are for. In case of fallen structures, debris, dust, you want to be able to breathe in that, so you need a respirator, not a surgical mask, which is what your dentist uses to not spit in your mouth as they patch up a little tooth there. No, you need something that actually filters and is something that's going to be staying in your face as you need it. And of course, eye protection. If you're gonna move things around and clean up and move collapse structures and whatnot, you want to have eye protection, be able to breathe, and gloves so as to work. And you're gonna need tools. This is just a way of illustrating it, but yeah, the crowbar, actually someone in a comment in my Spanish channel said that they had seen a video where I addressed the same topic a while back, and somewhere in Central America they had like a bit of a seismic event there, and he could not open the door. The door in his bedroom was jammed shut because the house had moved, and he used the pry bar that he had in his kit because of what he had seen in my videos, and he sent an email saying, you know what, thanks, because that actually came in handy. And that's exactly how it goes down. If there's movement, even if it's just a little bit, it's going to be impossible for you to open that door. You will have very likely to break it down. Or if you have a pry bar or a crowbar, something that you can actually, you could use a strong knife that could also be useful, but this is much better. This, saws, axes, sledgehammers in case you have to bust pieces of concrete, even electric tools, especially if they're cordless, something for cutting metal, concrete. Those are things that can be invaluable in the middle of an event like that. But at least have some tools in case you end up needing them. Of course, first aid kits and the knowledge so as to use it, so as to patch up wounds that people may have. Also very important. It's also going to be critical to have a radio so as to know the kind of information that's going around, what's being told. Now, something like that is nice. It's a very good X-Data radio that I've shown previously here, but really with a little FM radio or one of these emergency radios, solar operated. These things will go for FM quite nicely. Actually, this one has a few more options. This is not all that bad. But even a basic radio, FM radio, that's where they're going to transmit some of the more important information and repeat it for people that are being affected. You could even go with something like Baofangs. The Baofang radios, they also have FM receivers, so you can listen to FM in your Baofangs. And maybe if you want to cover the aspect of communication, maybe throw a couple of these or more in your kit. This is going to be essential for communication, short range, of course, nothing like a cell phone. But if cell phone towers go down or because of their power, you end up in that situation, that's going to be quite useful. Now, of course, in your bug-out bag or emergency kit, you want to have a flashlight, and there is one there in a pouch on the outside. I always make sure that the flashlight is accessible from the outside without having to open the bag and find stuff in there. Remember that also in terms of preparedness, when we talk about bug-out bags and kits like that, you want to have your bag with your important documents. I call it the very important papers bag, right? VIP bag. It has to be something small, something that you maybe keep in yourself, with emergency cash, documents, passports, insurance information. All of that should be kept in a place where you can easily access it, but at the same time, especially because of the documents and maybe the emergency cash that you have, you just don't leave it lying around or in a place that it can be lost or stolen. Maybe it's in a safe, but that's going to be part of what you grab when you leave in an emergency. Now, don't go just with a flashlight, and I think it's also a good idea to have a headlamp. A headlamp will give you the opportunity of using both hands, especially during cleanup or maybe even rescuing someone. You want to have both hands available. You don't want to have one hand with a light, and you don't want to have someone holding a light as you work. You want to be able to do that with a headlamp. So I would really advise you to get a couple good headlamps for your kits. If you can only have one flashlight for emergencies, a headlamp is going to be better than just a handheld torch. Now, you have some of these keys for opening and shutting down gas and electricity. You can have that, those are fine, but even a multi-tool will allow you to do that with a needle nose pliers, and it has a bunch of other uses. And of course, some way of defending yourself and defending your family. It is not gonna be the case that most people are running around being assholes towards one another, but you never know. The cases of looting, the cases of violence, these things can happen, and it's always a good idea to be prepared for that. Just have something to defend yourself just in case. Folks, that's going to be all for now. If you enjoyed the video, you'll have the button to subscribe somewhere there floating around. You have the links below in case you want to add some of these things to your kits. See you later. Take care.